Hello, I am Michael Askins, architect and technologist. This is an IT Pro Tech Talk, and today we got a special guest with us, Rob Fegan. Normally, Chris sits in the sidecar, so we're going to take a step away from Industry 4.0. We've had a good run with those episodes. We are going to be wrapping that up here. We're going to record one of the last episodes this week, but I'm really excited to have Rob with us today. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm great, Michael, and excited to be here. Excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're with Venvito, and you obviously you demystify selling with Microsoft. You actually help Microsoft partners. How about you give just a little kind of the 10,000 foot view, dip down as deep as you feel on what you feel Venvito can do for Microsoft partners, or selling with Microsoft, or what your main core offerings that you have as an organization.
Sure, glad to. And so for me, I'll kind of give you a little bit of history, and that way it'll set the context for our whole discussion. Is that I started in the Microsoft partner ecosystem back about 15, 17 years ago now as an individual contributor. And in that role, I wanted to work with Microsoft. I wanted sort of the utopia of getting leads from Microsoft, and I really struggled with that. And I continued along that path of sort of struggling with that for years until I started to figure out what it is that Microsoft really wanted from me as a partner. And I was able to really just tenfold what I was doing with Microsoft and the ability I had to interact with Microsoft. And I took it to the next level and started my own company using the philosophies and the principles we're going to talk about today to build a multi-million dollar Microsoft partner. And through that, there's so much that I learned. And I really want to be able to share that with partners now. And that's why I created Venvito, was to do that, to work with partners one-on-one, helping them understand that there is a framework, there is a way to work with Microsoft. And when you figure that out, it can be incredibly rewarding and lucrative. You can generate a ton of pipeline, generate revenue. There's just lots of benefits to understanding how to work with Microsoft. And that's really what brought me to Venvito today, and where I think we're going to go with our discussion.
Yeah, that's brilliant. When you stop and you look at your history and everything you've done, and you can wrap that into a business offering, and if you've been there and done that, and you can help others, you're giving back to the community, right? You're giving back to where you came from and what you've learned. That's amazing. So I'm going to go, since you've never been on before, I'm going to give you a couple getting to know you questions. So number one, what was the last book you read?
The last book I read was called The Choice by Og Mandino. And it was all about making great choices, or making choices and
Okay.
understanding consequences.
Oh, that's brilliant. So on your playlist, on your phone or device or what have you, what type of music is in your top five?
That's a good one. For me, well, I just saw a concert yesterday, a jazz concert. So jazz is big in my world. And it was Jamie Cullum was the artist.
Nice. Nice. So if you could retire today, where would you go retire? Would you stay in your hometown, or would you go to the sunny slopes of Hawaii? Where would you go?
Oh, that is a tough question. Let's see. Well, my roots are Ireland, so I'd love to spend some time in Ireland, drinking a nice cold beer.
Yep.
And then the other, I have
Yep.
a real affinity for Southern California and the beaches of Southern California. So either of those places, I'd be very happy.
That's all of those are way better than the 15 degrees southwestern Pennsylvania weather that I'm experiencing right now. So, yeah. So as you help Microsoft, as you help Microsoft partners, a couple of things that as my day job and what I do with IT Pro on the consulting side, we are a Microsoft partner. This is what I truly love to do for a living, is interacting with people like yourself. Though there is those consulting moments that I have to have, and to do that, it's best to be a Microsoft partner. So one of the things that I have found is the new designations they're kind of hard to navigate for some organizations. There's some larger organizations that I spoke to that they don't even have any of their specialties or anything because of some of the new requirements. Or do you help in that space too as well? What are you hearing out there in the wild as challenges with the new designations and the new process, if you will?
Yeah, it was a massive change for the Microsoft partner community. If you think back, when we had gold and silver, that was, we all Microsoft partners kind of knew how to navigate that program, and you knew how to get your gold, how to get your silver, you knew what was required of you. And I think that the challenge Microsoft saw was that the gold and silver designations were long in the tooth. It was hard to differentiate between, I have my gold, I have my silver. How do I differentiate which partner's right for me, especially in the new cloud ecosystem with Azure, with Microsoft 365, Dynamics? The platform has just continued to grow and grow and grow. And what Microsoft is finding, I think what customers were challenged with, is how do I know that you're a good partner for what I'm trying to achieve in the area I'm trying to achieve it? So, you think D65, Dynamic 65 partner is very different from an Azure partner. And an Azure partner in infrastructure is very different than an Azure partner in data. And so what Microsoft really tried to do, and did they land it perfectly? I don't think so, but it's, they did the best they could in terms of creating these new 6 solution designations across Azure, across business applications, Power Platform, modern work, data and AI. So they tried to create these solution areas or solution designations, as they called them. But I think what really presented the challenge for partners was that in order to create those specialties, they created this point system. And the point system is spread across a number of different vectors. So you not only have your skilling, but now you have customer success, customer onboards, net new ads, and you earn points for each one of these activities. So it's much different, and it's much more challenging for partners to first acquire the initial designation. And then it's even more complicated to keep that designation. So you have to continue with your skilling, the points that you earn for customers, whether you're onboarding a customer or growing a customer, those points expire every 12 months. So you're have to be in this continuous loop of keeping your point system up above that 70 threshold. Otherwise, you risk losing your designation at your anniversary date. So it's a challenge for partners in that respect, that there's a lot more to do. I will say too, the skilling is more challenging than it used to be. The tests are a little more in depth, and there's depending on what you're going after, there can be multiple people required to take tests within a single organization. So that can present challenges for smaller partners that are just in sort of their early stages of growth. So there's a lot going on inside the program, and I appreciate that it is a challenge, and I do try and help partners to understand where to focus and map their business to the solution designation that makes the most sense for them. Don't worry about trying to boil the ocean and get all of them. Start with the ones that make the most sense for your business. This is really what I recommend to partners.
Yeah, that makes sense. And one of the things, though, I found is being a partner and wanting to have those specialties that are core to me, that it was a separator, was a differentiator. They become out of reach because, like me personally, I have a lot of the security stuff, but if I want to have my organization be a specialty in security, being an MSSP in Azure and have the security designation, I need to have like 6 people. 6 separate people have certain types of designations, and it becomes, like you mentioned, a little difficult for the smaller partner. And the one thing I like to do is I like to take this conversation and tell the business side what they need to know about this too. So back in the day, it used to be, hey, you gold, silver, what do you got? and it was good, check the box, carry on, right? Now, I say, look at who's leading the technology group. Make sure that if they're advising you, that they have some modern credentials, even if they don't have their specialty yet or the MSSP stuff yet. Make sure that the person who's in charge of that group has designations, because they're leading the charge for the people underneath them. And as the technology constantly changes, do you think the mindset will change to those in the field underneath that leadership? It won't. So, as the first gauge of a barometer to the business side is look at who's running the organization, see how true of a partner they are with Microsoft, or they just check in boxes to say, hey, I do that. And then number two, as a partner, understand what is important for you, and you need to go, it's truly all in one of those areas to make sure that you can stand out in a specialty, because otherwise, you can't double dip with certifications all over, like in the old days where you had a developer get a certification and then all of a sudden it shows up in modern work, it shows up in cloud. They're so disparate now that there's that double dipping is gone.
It really is. And Microsoft made a big there, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, in mentioning that kind of how I try to advise the business side of, hey, when you're looking at a Microsoft partner, the phrase I always say is not all partners are not created equal. And there is that separation in how true is a Microsoft partner. So there's one thing you'll see with IT Pro is that, do we work in other clouds? We do, but you'll never see me posting AWS posts and see me posting Salesforce posts. Yeah, they're all great products and they're, good partners of Microsoft. But I will say this, Microsoft really likes a partner who is all in Microsoft. So when you go to a partner and you see on their website that they do everything in the kitchen sink, are they bringing you the best of breed of what Microsoft has to offer if you're looking for a Microsoft solution, or are they just kind of smattering it against the wall? Now, that being said, the size of the partner does not necessarily matter in my mind. It's the specialties and it's how you handle your relationships with Microsoft, where you can get a smaller partner, can get a real checkbox and be a preferred in a specific area out in Redmond. Are you seeing that too as well, Rob?
I am. And you bring up such an important point on a couple different fronts, is that, as a partner, what Microsoft is looking for in a partner is someone that really understands the technology, understands how to apply that technology to help customers solve business problems. And that isn't limited to just the big partners. There are some very, very small partners. And I know I built one. I was a very small partner when I started my last firm. And we were very niche in what we did. We were very specialized in it. And it was directly related to what Microsoft was trying to accomplish in their business. So we became one of those go-to preferred partners. So you bring up a great point that, don't count yourself out based on your size. It's all about the skill that you offer, the ability to move the needle forward for your partner inside of Microsoft. And yes, I think that the challenge of multi-cloud versus just Microsoft, absolutely Microsoft loves, single focused partners, but they also understand that the customers aren't that way either. So having a partner that understands something about AWS or something about Salesforce can be a real benefit, because if you're able to leverage your knowledge of those platforms and integrate it into the Microsoft platform, that's a huge win for Microsoft as well. So I'm a big fan of niching down, being a specialist at what you're great at, and building on that. That's really, for me, one of the ways to highlight your superpower inside of Microsoft.
That's brilliant. And I love how you put that, the superpower. That's great. And, that's one of the things that I always tell orgs, like, well, if I am personally doing a security project, I don't care where you're at. If I'm doing a management product, I don't care what cloud you're at, or even if you're on-prem, because the messaging from Microsoft is our tooling transcends on-premises and all clouds. So to have that fundamental working knowledge of those other clouds, actually, to your point you just made, makes us more valuable. Now, when we go to a net new deployment, we're not going to say, hey, throw that workload over in AWS. No, we're going to lead with Azure Cloud first, right? Just because of our approach. And I feel and I'm not just saying that being a partner from the monetization of being a partner. I'm saying that because I feel that that's the true enterprise cloud. That's why we settle. I've worked in all HP's cloud. I've worked in all the clouds, and the true enterprise cloud with identity and security baked into it is all the Microsoft clouds. Not being a shill, that's personal opinion there. But yeah, so when you bring that up is like, you sit there and you log in. So say I create a brand new company and I'm going to be a partner. I log in and then you just get this, boom, here's your Microsoft portal. And it's a lot, right? And it's so easy to miss things, right? So, there's also, where I'm going with this, right? There's partners have been digging into these things for a long time, and there's all these little hidden niches and places in that partner center no one knows about. If you're to come up with like a hidden area that somebody should be focusing their time inside there to make them a better partner, to get their offerings a little bit more compelling to the businesses, where would you suggest?
Oh, that's a tough one because there's so many things. And I guess that's one of the challenges presented by being a Microsoft partner is there's so many programs inside of Microsoft. There are so many levers that you can pull. But just thinking about a couple that I think are going to be top of mind for Microsoft coming in 2024 and beyond. The first one is Marketplace. So whether you're an SI, a systems integrator, a value-added reseller VAR, or you're an ISV, you're going to have to be in Marketplace. There is no way around that. Microsoft is pushing the entire partner community towards the Marketplace. And part of that is because the buyer journey is changing. Buyers now want the ability to go to a single place and start to find information and educate themselves. So Marketplace is going to be a big part of that. So first and foremost, if you are, that new partner, you're getting your legs underneath you in terms of the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program, part of that is going to be your solution designation. But the next biggest focus for me would be Marketplace. And then if I can go another minute or two on that, there's one other area that I think a lot of partners, a lot of partners miss out on is referrals or lead sharing. So there's this concept that you become a Microsoft partner and leads are just going to rain down from the heavens on you. And that's typically not the case. But I will say that good partners or great partners understand that it's bi-directional. You can be sharing leads up to Microsoft. So there is a way in Partner Center, in the referrals component of your Partner Center, to share leads up to Microsoft. And even if Microsoft sellers don't accept the lead because they're working with somebody else or they don't see that as a priority for them, Microsoft Corporate or Microsoft in Seattle is tracking that through the GPS or Global Partner Solutions Group. And so that helps your sort of visibility inside of Microsoft, and not just at the seller community, but in the partner group as well. So I would encourage every partner to understand how to make referrals, how to leverage the referral portal within your partner center so that you start to build visibility and traction with the Microsoft field and Microsoft GPS. So those are the two areas that I think partners miss out on, is the referrals and on the Marketplace. So that would be my thought process there.
They're great ones too. And I'm going to double down on your second one. Is, one of the things that I always do in our particular patch in Great Lakes or Mid-Atlantic, I know a good number of the sellers in some of the areas. And if I know who the Microsoft rep is, I will reach out to them when I have a deal or somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I want you to look at this for me. And I know it's in the Microsoft stack. I will in turn reach out to the Microsoft rep and say, hey, rep, your customer came to me about this. And what do you know? What should I know? And how do we best achieve the customer's goals? And so if you're on the customer side and you're listening to this and you have a partner, see if they can, make sure that they're reaching out to the Microsoft ecosystem that's afforded to them, be it a rep or the referral center, as you had mentioned, to make sure that they're getting the best. Because there's been many a times that I've actually spoke with someone that I was working with, and they said, "Hey, this customer is a specific designated customer. We want to grow them, and so we're willing to invest in projects." And so it's like uncovering little gold in the hills for your customer, which in turn helps you as your organization. But it's brilliant when you have the ability to go to them and say, "Oh, by the way, that being that bridge between Microsoft and your org, we just uncovered a little bit of licensing or some support dollars to help you get to achieve your goals." Yeah, I love when that happens. It's like win-win.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's a few
so
there that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's a couple of things I want to unpack for you there, because you bring up a great point about sharing with Microsoft. And so there's a concept I've got, I call it the 3 R's of what Microsoft cares about. And so if you're good with it, I'd love to share those here for your audience.
Yep, absolutely.
Great. So when I talk to partners and they say, "Hey, I want to get more traction with the Microsoft field. I want to build better relationships with the Microsoft field." I tell partners there's 3 things that Microsoft cares about when they're talking to partners. And those 3 things are, first, revenue, obviously. In your case, where you're bringing an opportunity to Microsoft, that's huge. That helps them hit their what we call scorecard metrics or their quota. And so that's absolutely top of the heap in terms of value you can bring to the Microsoft seller. But there's 2 other areas that you can also help. And the next one is relationships. So you talked about making introductions. There are a lot of people inside of your customer that you're talking to that Microsoft may not know today. If you can make an introduction to someone new inside of your customer to the Microsoft seller, that's huge value to them. It helps them to better understand their accounts. It helps them when they're meeting with their own internal managers. And so there's just a ton of value. And then the third and final sort of thing they look for is relevance. So, if you're bringing a relevant discussion to a customer or a group of customers, whether it be around security, whether it be around data and AI, whether you have a product to offer, Microsoft loves the ability to have new conversations, to open up new doors around new avenues for helping that customer solve business problems. So again, the 3 R's that I refer to are revenue, relationships, and relevance. So keep those in mind as you're meeting or trying to grow your relationship with Microsoft. And then to your final point, when you are working closely with Microsoft, they have the ability to unlock dollars. They have workshop programs that are available to partners. They have funding that's available to partners. And so I love the fact that you brought it up, is that you can uncover those. That's huge value for your customer too. So it's the win for your customer, the win for Microsoft, and the win for you as a partner. So I love that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I jotted the 3 R's down, so the audience saw the side of my ear there for a while as I was writing those down. That's a great way to put it. I wanted to kind of touch on, and I think in a quick pregame we had for a couple minutes, kind of brought up the one thing that typically is a swing and a miss for partners. Like, what are the top end things? And I say end because it could be like 1, it could be 3. What are the top things partners are doing wrong? Like, what are they missing here?
Yeah, and I'll tell you first and foremost, and this is almost universal when I talk to partners, is the thing that they miss the most often is around messaging. So partners really understand what they do and they understand their message to the market, but they completely miss the mark on what matters to your Microsoft rep. So if you're talking to a Microsoft seller or someone inside of Microsoft, although they care what you do at a high level, they're much more interested in, first understanding who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for. But the one that everyone misses is what's in it for Microsoft. Microsoft wants to know, how are you going to help me, the seller, move the yardsticks forward for me? I've got a scorecard metric, I've got a quota. How are you going to help me solve my problem? So, it's no secret that everybody is, our most favorite topic is about ourselves and helping ourselves. So we want to be sure that we communicate that we're clear about, hey, this is what I do for the customer, but more importantly, Mr. Microsoft or Miss Microsoft, this is how I help you. This is what we can do together. And it's a win for the customer. It's a win for you, Microsoft, whether that be through Azure consumption, license sales, any number of things that the Microsoft seller can be focused on. Be sure that you're communicating clearly what's in it for them. So that's a big miss. A lot of times I talk to partners and they'll go through their 30-minute or 60-minute About Us PowerPoint, and they'll never once touch on how they help the Microsoft seller.
Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be addressed for partners in the future, for sure. One of the things I also see is sometimes they put the heavy emphasis on their designations in the past to be like, we're gold, and like they smatter all this stuff up and they make it out like, hey, because we got this, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not telling you why they're good, to the points you just made. It's like, we are a bridge between you and the sellers. We actually help. We're your advocate, but we're also, their spokesperson and, knowledge base. And with, especially in 2024 with, the reorganization and some of the things, the reliance Microsoft's going to have on partners, it's more of how are you going to be a partner for a client, so for customers out there, non-partners who are listening to this, tune your ears into this. Find out not just if they're a partner, but how they can help you, and not just in dollars, but sometimes it's helping with troubleshooting or getting to the root cause of something that's plaguing their systems. And by having those connections and those inroads, you can help resolve something that is meaningful to that org. That's just as important to organizations than you being able, to transact or sell certain SKUs, from what I've seen. I don't know. Have you seen that too as well?
Absolutely. And it goes back to your point you made earlier about really communicate what you specialize in, what you're great at, how you help the company or your customer, both solve business problems, but work with the partner as well, work with Microsoft. So, Microsoft is a large, complex organization. And if you can bring value into helping navigate that, whether that be through programs or, to your point, support, those are all massive value adds to your end customer. And as a partner, that's really important to communicate that's part of the value you bring. It's not just turning screws. It's all about understanding business problems, understanding how to navigate the partnership with Microsoft, and understanding the platform. I mean, Microsoft's platform is massive in terms of what it can bring, the value it can bring across many different disciplines. So really understanding that as a partner, understanding how to navigate it, understanding what's available to your customers through the Microsoft platform is critical. So I love where you're going with that.
Yeah, for sure. So this is going to be a softball question in the Microsoft ecosystem, but 2024, what should partners be focusing on? Obviously, this is, the year of the AI. You can see in all the releases and all the public releases and partner releases, AI is a big component of that. But if you want to break down just a handful of things partners should really, sharpen their pencil on and kind of stay focused on.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's Copilot. I don't think there's any secret that Microsoft is not going all in on AI through what the Copilot brand. So if you don't understand how you can help Microsoft in that journey, the Copilot journey, I think that's something that you have to immediately step back and figure out, because there is going to, Microsoft is all in on Copilot. And so as a partner community, we need to think about how can we help organizations take advantage of Copilot. And I think there's no secret that that first part of that journey is going to be Copilot readiness. How are you helping your customer get ready for Copilot? That's data hygiene, security, all these different components that could affect the ability to take advantage of all the tools that we see coming down the pike from Microsoft related to AI and specifically Copilot. And I know today it's limited to 300, companies of 300 or larger can buy licenses and sort of the minimum threshold. But I suspect in 2024, that threshold will start dropping. I think that we'll see Copilot become available to a much larger audience, much smaller companies. And so, regardless of what size you're working with in terms of your partner community, I think you need to be talking Copilot readiness. I think if you don't talk Copilot readiness, somebody else is out there doing it to your customer, with your customer, if you're not. So I encourage every partner to get deep into that. And then we talked about earlier the marketplace. If you're not already on marketplace, start thinking about it. Start thinking about what offers, whether it's consulting offers or it's product offers through an ISV, or it's coming together through a multi-party offer with an ISV. So I think you need to start thinking about marketplace. It's going to be part of your strategy if you're going to be in the Microsoft ecosystem. So those are the two big ones for me: is get Copilot ready and start thinking about marketplace.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And so, when I was thinking through these questions to chew through with you, one of the things that keeps percolating in, and I think it's probably because I do a lot with the security space. I think security is obviously always going to be some component of a focus for businesses and a focus of providers like Microsoft. But I think the importance of security, and you touched on it is being secure, but also having the governance hat on, right? You got to make sure that you have the guardrails up to protect not just from bad actors, but also from someone running a Copilot and saying things they shouldn't, or even if you're just going pure GPT and you have that as part of your offering and it's tied into things that have IP, you need to make sure that those guardrails are there. It's a whole new vector. It's a whole new attack surface for people to try to hammer on your chatbots or your public chatbots to see where the holes are, to try to get inside. And they're using chatbots to do this too. So it's almost like a chatbot war. But it's one of those things where you got to make sure that you stay vigilant and you are on top of it. So I definitely agree with those two, and I'm just going to put a little asterisk and say, hey, the security component is even that much more important.
I want to touch on that for a
Very
second,
good.
because
Yeah, go ahead.
not only security, to your point, governance is going to become a real relevant discussion. It's not a discussion that we hear very often with our customers. It's typically, oh, we've got to stop the cyber threats, people hacking us or getting ransomware. Those are the things that we talk about and hear about every day. But as we move into this Copilot world, governance and compliance are going to be huge topics for discussion as part of that readiness discussion. And so, I think it's going to be, I think you just nailed it there when you said, thinking governance. How do we put those guardrails up, and what are those guardrails? I think that a lot of companies are going to be challenged with that. Traditionally, we all kind of knew either your password, or your user ID sort of let you be in this lane with data. That goes away in the idea of Copilot, in a Copilot world where the machine is seeing everything, and how do we limit what the end user sees? So I love the fact that you're thinking that way, and I think your community really needs to step back and think about governance and compliance as part of this journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm going to make a request, Rob. There's so much we could probably go for a couple hours. Do you think we can get you back on in a couple weeks? Yeah, get you back on in a couple weeks. Maybe touch on some more stuff. How do you feel about kind of spotting over now and again with us?
I would love to do that. That would be great. There is so much more we could go deep on. So look forward to connecting with you, and let's do it again in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. And I will put down in the show notes how you can stalk Rob online, how you can connect up with Venvito. You have a some regular stuff I see all the time on LinkedIn. So I'll try to aggregate for our crew how they can get in contact with you and connect with you, because you have a lot to share and a lot to offer. And I think what's really cool is, we can also put the hat on. Yes, let's be better business partners with Microsoft, but business people buying from Microsoft and partners, this is what you got to look out for too. So we can make the whole ecosystem from cradle to grave be completely covered with really cool, productive co-pilots in AI and GPTs and whatever it is we're developing out there in the world. So that's my goal, and I know that's your goal too. Thank you again for joining me today, Rob. And we'll schedule something up, and we'll try to make a regular reoccurring if we can.
That would be great. I'll look forward to it, Michael. Thanks a lot.
That, that's awesome. And for our listeners, we appreciate you listening. Viewers, we appreciate you viewing. Our YouTube channel's new, so we're just growing that. We are strong on the audio side, so we're going to keeping this format going while we kind of segregate in between both. So just make sure you stay in the show notes. Also, we're finishing up Industry 4.0. That was a really exciting series. Christopher Furless has been working with that. And if you know all the magic words, you can get an autograph signed copy of his book, which is more relevant today than ever, especially with AI and Copilot and Studio, GPT, the whole works. It's really important that we keep getting that messaging out. So we appreciate you all, and we will see you on the next one.